Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of Cerberus at the Improv. I'm Peyman. I have my friend here, Mr. Timothy Knight. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And we also have Mr. Andre Maloche. Welcome back, Andre.
Good afternoon to you too.
So for people who've never watched this, our format is we were trying to introduce some civility and some sanity into Canadian politics, and we try to touch on Canadian current events. But as we usually do, we're failing this week. We're going to start with some U.S. current events. And the current top-of-mind topic is Joe Biden pardoning everybody from Fauci to Hunter Biden. Mr. Knight, why don't you fill us in on the details?
It's Bidenomics shifting to Bidenopoly, and now he's handing out get-out-of-jail-free cards. It's the sitting government is so angry and so upset and so butthurt that Trump and his ilk are now getting their turn to kick the can down the road, that they're doing everything possible to hijack the incoming executive branch. And this includes trying to escape Department of Justice and FBI, who have already made it clear that when they take their seats, they're going to go after the bad boys of the pandemic and take down Biden's cronies. This is the stuff you read in Cold War spy novels. It's campy, it's terrible, and it's obvious. It's worse than childish because these are grown adults who truly believe in what they're doing.
Are they grown adults?
Well, I'm not a biologist. It's shameful. It's shameful. I don't understand how the public at large sits down in front of the TV or picks up their news off the internet and reads this without understanding. These governments think so little of your capacity to critically organize your own life that they will now commit hijinks in front of you because they don't have to do it behind the shadows anymore, behind the curtains. They'll just pull their stunts right in front of you. It's shameful.
So what have you guys heard? There's the Anthony Fauci potential pardon, but that's sort of the pardon of all the cabinet. There's Hunter Biden that did get pardoned, which is it's pretty blatant. But they're also trying all sorts of other shenanigans. I read that they want to do a state work from home order. Mm-hmm. They're basically trying to make it so Trump can't get rid of all of these bureaucrats, which is the lifeblood of the left and the Democrats, these losers that could never survive in the private sector. Don't all agree at once.
You're right. You have the actions of a government that are sore losers who truly believed they were going to win that election, who did not have any actual escape clauses or exit clauses in their own agreements or their own projects or the government's own plans forward. They thought that they were there for the rest of time, that they were just going to change the nameplates on their blue doors. And now that the reality has spoken, that the people of America said, no, we want red on our doors. And this is the kind of stuff you see on poorly written after-school specials.
Well, Saturday Night Live, maybe. In the news that you just showed, I didn't know that Fauci was condemned. How can he be pardoned if he's not condemned?
The article uses the word preemptive.
No, but I agree with you. But Liz Cheney, maybe they will exhume the body of Dick Cheney, her late husband, and pardon him, and then reburied him. They can go back to the flood too. It's
Adam
this Schiff. Is and you were saying Peyman, we start with American politics. Maybe it is Canadian politics.
If we are the 51st state, we can go to that.
We'll get
we
there.
we can jump like this. Sometimes I have a twisted mind, but this is completely ridiculous. First of all, Hunter Biden, we all know what he did. Everything is on the internet. It's not even, they're not even hiding anymore. And what Timothy said is true. They take us like we are completely debil and stupid people.
Yeah.
And it's just one thing. Messaging is so important. These bastards, they're masters at it. Targeted by the incoming Trump administration. They're not saying we're subverting the course of justice. It's Donald Trump that's targeting them.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you read CBC or you see CBC. Yeah, because I'm French Canadian, I read Radio Canada. I can tell you this is, sometimes you read and you say, wait a second, what is it? Trump is like the Antichrist. And now they're panicking everywhere because, but anyway, after 4, 8, 12 years of, I would say, harassing Trump, they now understand that he will take revenge. No matter what. So they will try to undermine his first, maybe its first 100 days.
Well, and they undermine that by poisoning the well before the new villagers come in.
Exactly. So,
did you guys see what I was highlighting? So they're really reaching for precedent. George Bush the first pardoned some defense secretary, Caspar Weinberger, before my time, and Ford pardoned Nixon.
Yes.
But like, these are very high profile people, and this is like 1 or 2 pardons. I think they're trying to pardon like several thousand people here.
Yes. Well, it's now I'm going to forget her name. It's the one who's always giving gifts out to her audience on her TV show.
Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah. You get a pardon, and you get a pardon, and you get a pardon, and everybody gets a pardon.
Yes, but what about the media? Will he pardon the media?
Well, the media, they're the ones writing them.
Yes, okay.
Right?
Okay. Because it's like
this. Because look at what you're reading here on screen. This is the pardon.
This has
no
the
body of the pardon, right? What is it? The Pope gives you can buy a document from the Pope that will absolve you of your eternal punishment. Indulgence.
Indulgence.
So basically,
exactly.
the modern media writing these documents, writing articles like this. These are indulgences. Which is funny because they're taking an indulgence.
When you look at Liz Cheney, I would understand that her late husband would expect to have pardon. You look at how they act. Like you said, Timothy, they have the brain of a child. It is not. It's not mature thinking and mature behavior. This is incredible. But we're used to them. We're used to those behavior. We have this in Canada. We have this in the Western world everywhere. Look at Macron. Look at it is not. You listen to them, and you. I can refer again to Annalena Baerbock in Germany. You say it is not. I'm pretty sure it is Saturday Night Live everywhere. And people are there, and they it's what dystopian reality. Maybe we are in the matrix, really in the matrix with those people.
It's theater.
It's theater, why he goes back to 2014? Because Hunter Biden was vice president of a company in Ukraine, and he was accused of manipulating or influencing the judge in Ukraine to drop the charge against a judge that wanted to prosecute the Maidan coup. And then after that, all the thing collapsed. So, and Hunter Biden, it's not about
let's just be clear, though.
No,
this isn't Hunter Biden doing this. Hunter Biden just happened to be the face of this company that's probably run by the CIA. The guy's a crackhead. He's not going to go around intimidating prosecutors.
No, but he was.
Did you say prostitutes?
No, that he's capable of doing.
Yes, no, but he was. I think he was. He was a puppet over there. So, like Victoria Nuland, when she arrived there, will he pardon her too?
Well, I think,
and maybe he will pardon all IPAC. I don't know.
I think in the last 40 years, every Western diplomat in Eastern Europe has been a puppet. Yes,
exactly. And
blanket order, right? As a blanket order, Have you been named the ambassador to Chechnya? Or yes? Good luck.
And who's the puppeteers?
Right? And who's the puppeteer? I mean,
Huh?
out here in the West, the narrative, the Hollywood narrative is it's the CIA or right.
Well, okay,
is it really?
You can go there, but you can go in the private sector to look at Vanguard, BlackRock, Larry Fink, all those people who are above all laws. They lecture you on climate change and oil stop oil, and you should not your cow should not fart, and those people are completely disconnect from reality. I understand Biden is completely disconnect, but physiologically speaking, but the other medically speaking, I made a joke, diaper hunter.
Yeah.
No, but it is they what? It's a show. And what fascinates me is that people buy popcorn to watch it. And how do we react to that? Can Trump overturn this? Can he change that when he will be in office? He's supposed to be the most powerful man in the planet.
Well, yes. I wonder if he can't arrest them
on paper.
If he can't arrest them on paper or have them charged even on paper, could he pull a RICO on them? Could he take their wealth? Could he restrict their travel?
Oh, you take you confiscate their power.
Fauci gets on a plane and then gets pulled off the plane by the air marshal.
Come on,
you're on a list.
Timothy, they confiscate their passport, but they have private jets. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
I have one suggestion.
I have one suggestion, and he runs the video.
Maybe you should mask. This is what it is.
Somebody should look into this. Maybe this guy got pardoned during the last administration for Trump.
He will be pardoned too, I suppose.
Isn't the company that this executive, isn't this company under some type of investigation right now?
United Healthcare?
That's what I heard by the Department of Justice, which I found weird because currently the Department of Justice doesn't carry out justice. Why would it investigate criminals? It defends criminals.
Well, they don't investigate them.
So maybe
this was a whistleblower.
Maybe this was it accused? Not accused. Maybe this quote person who may or may not be the assassin is actually an employee of the Department of Justice.
This is their Swift Justice program?
Contract.
I think there's everything is embedded. So to untwist all the the web, you pull one string, everything will collapse.
Everything is bad. Yeah.
So for institution, it's complete. It is a disaster. Everywhere you look, you have corruption. It is inside.
I have my own thoughts on this because initially I thought, what is the CEO of a major, liability corporation or insurance corporation doing walking by himself this late at night in New York City? Is he not wealthy enough and of value enough to have an entourage
or a bodyguard?
Right? Or never have to get out of his car because he has people who will go do this for him. Even not just because, he's a wealthy individual, but to protect what he means to the corporation. He cannot be put at risk.
Maybe
that's definitely not Gregory. This is definitely not a professional. Right. And and I had another thought too, was I wonder if the CEO was not drugged before this event. But looking at the way he's walking, the casual roll of his shoulders, his wide stance as he's walking, he looks comfortable. He looks at ease, like reading his body language. Watch how he strolls through the camera here. He looks comfortable. He's not worrying about anything. And then that's the wrong stagger.
Timothy Knight, the body language expert.
I love body language reading. And I wonder. And so watch the SUV on the left. One that's got the parking lights on.
They're filming from the inside.
Well, is that a vehicle there to verify the kill? Right? and then the camera cuts away. Why does the
What's-
camera cut away? Does it cut away because the CEO that was apparently just murdered in cold blood gets off the ground, gets into the SUV, and they just drive away?
The question I was asking is, why did the police release this evidence? Because
Yes.
police never do anything that's good. The FBI
Right.
just shows up, national security. They're like, "Yes, sir, right away, sir," and they just relinquish the
Yeah.
evidence.
So why is this video as accessible to the public as it is? That's a lot of film footage. This is like almost the same quality as when we went and flew past Pluto.
But you know,
And this woman, that woman, she had a clear line of that man's face. He didn't shoot her.
he didn't shoot her. Yes, exactly. But don't forget one thing. It's a United Healthcare. It's what? It's an insurance company.
So is he looking for the early death benefits payout?
No, it's because I think about Stéphane Bancel from Moderna and Albert Bourla from Pfizer. They're all related, so
Yes.
maybe that's the first piece of.
Yes.
Are you selling us your Christmas hit wish list, Andre?
No. There was a video last year with Klaus Schwab about Santa Claus. It was very funny. But when you look at this, people are starting to wake up. At least there's a percentage of people who are starting to wake up to what is happening around the planet. And now maybe they're starting to get rid of, I would say, uncomfortable evidence.
Can I ask
Or
you guys-
disposable casualties.
Yeah, this is theater. I don't think this is an assassination.
what do you mean theater? Just the guy was high and he shot
It's
him?
all set up.
It's
I
a
don't
setup.
think nobody was killed in the making of this film.
Do you think
yeah.
do you think the Trump assassination was a setup? Many people said that.
I believe more readily that a projectile struck the teleprompter and shards of the teleprompter cut his ear.
That's what I heard too. But
So
why
there you
I
go, right?
why
How could
I
it be a
asked the
setup? The guy's
question?
dead.
Hey?
Yes, but you know why I asked the question? It is because we are in a, when I said the Matrix, we are in reality TV. You know? Like you say, why did they publish this type of video?
Yes.
Because they want us to react toward it.
Yes.
I just assumed there was another couple dozen pardons, and they thought if they kill one guy, we wouldn't pay attention.
Maybe.
Here, guys.
What
no,
if
it's a
what
very
if
good
this-
hypothesis.
what if this CEO got wise to what might or might not be knocking on his door one day, and the CEO himself set this up?
To what?
Well,
Get the insurance money?
He's faking his own death to get out of Dodge.
That
He knows
happened.
that Moderna or Pfizer or whoever might be coming after him because he's got loose lips.
Well, JFK. Some people say that JFK is alive. Some people that Jeffrey Epstein is alive and well. Why not? Why not? If you let's say you're a spy and you're undercover, and then you have to change your
Yeah.
identity. You will
Yes.
have what facial
Yes. Reconstructive surgeries.
reconstructive surgery. You will have a new identity.
Yeah.
Don't forget Adolf Eichmann, who was trial in Israel in 1960. He was caught in Argentina, and they were chasing him for what, 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
And the Mossad caught him. They brought him in Israel.
Yeah.
It was a show. Anna Harel at the time covered the trial for the New York Times, and she was accused of being an anti-Semite because she was trying to be impartial, and she
Right.
was expressing that it was a show for Israel. So staging an assassination, it is not a new
It's
concept.
not new.
It's not new.
Not new.
Well, let me
Not
just
new.
ask you guys: do you believe that this guy that allegedly killed him was disgruntled because his insurance claim got denied?
No. I believe he was hired to perform an act.
Did we check the stock value of United Healthcare since he got
That's
died?
why didn't I check that to see whether
I forgot now, and I
And-
think about it, and you know why I say this, because some people they get out of the company before it sinks,
That's right.
and they sell their share
Yeah.
with what they
You
call
want to
inside trading.
Yeah. Watch the shooter step in and tell me if he just came off the sidewalk or off the road.
I can't stop looking at his ugly bag. Like, you're a grown ass man. Get a real bag.
Well,
but
maybe
yeah,
he's not a
you see,
grown-ass man. Maybe he's like a university kid, and that's his DJ pack. I don't know.
All right, all
you,
right. I feel like we're watering down this episode, is leaning into conspiracy theories.
Well, low-hanging fruit is really easy to get.
Anything else you want to say, Andre, before we head over to your favorite topic of France?
no, we'll just pray for his soul.
Prince of
All right.
4chan. That's fantastic.
And may this guy live in peace. Rest in peace.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Andre, you are our resident Franco expert. Tell us what's going on in France and what's happened.
Because you have 250 years.
I love France. I went to France many times. I have friends in France, and the freak show in France is incredible. It is incredible. When you look at the election, we'll go back in 2005 when the French vote against the European Constitution. Sarkozy in 2007 brought it back with the Lisbon Treaty, and it is a show. And the government, the National Assembly, since Macron is there, it is not possible. Let's remember that the last election in May, the Rassemblement National won a majority, 40%. And they won a majority of seats, but Macron asked to form a government of coalition. The first one failed. Now the second one, Barnier, it's like you go to the ferry and you go and shoot the target with a rifle. It's fascinating, and they don't know how to react. Usually Macron should ask Marine Le Pen to form the government. But the extreme right, the fascists, the darkest time of France when they were collaborating with the Nazi and everything, it's a show. And French, you have to give them that in theater, drama, or tragedy. They are extraordinary. Remember Molière. So Barnier, Barnier, he was doomed to fail. Like they will all fail. Now what is funny is that they will try to form another government, but nobody's talking about the power, the extreme power of Macron, who could launch or declare the martial law to rule they declared the emergency law. They did it in 2015 when there was the terrorist act in the Bataclan. And at the time, it was François Hollande who was there, and they were ruling with the emergency law. They were renewing this emergency law for, I think it was every 2 months. And they did it for what, 1 year and a half, 2 years, without any opposition. They don't have opposition now. In the National Assembly in France, they don't have opposition. Even Marine Le Pen is pro-Europe. She doesn't want to get out of Europe.
Let me just jump in and say something quick about language. Rival lawmakers on the left and the far right.
It's always like that. It's always like that. Far right, they have the plague. So what can you do? You cannot change the situation. The Rassemblement National won a majority, and they are stuck with it. And Macron doesn't know what to do, and they're not incompetent. I think that it's a bunch of psychopaths. So they don't know how to. We're used to that here in Canada. So it will not change. It will just go worse and worse. And I don't know if you saw the farmers' protestation in Brussels. They all go to Brussels. It is like everywhere. The fire is in the house in Europe, in France, in Germany. So what we will see in 2025 will be interesting, because some elections are coming in Germany in February 2025. Macron will not resign. This man is a lunatic. Tyrann, they never leave. They are removed.
I almost want to feed this to ChatGPT and ask how many times they use the word far right.
Well,
yeah, it's interesting. Hey, I mean, we look to the media for a balanced approach to reporting, and even in there just telling you the facts, they still manage to add the adjectives and the adverbs that slant the document.
Well, you go in any I would say any news in the mainstream media today about weather, and you will always have the expression climate change everywhere. Every article, it's always far right's the same thing.
Yeah. But
They
was it
don't have any
2 weeks
credibility.
ago we had a cyclone bomb in southwestern BC? So this is a weather language, a cyclone bomb.
Yes. I was like, what is happening in BC?
Low pressure front.
They rewrite the language completely.
Yeah. What once upon a time here was called the Pineapple Express, and so that's the airflow that comes from basically Hawaii and south up into the Pacific Northwest.
It was a joke.
It brings warm, wet air that meets with the Arctic, Alaska cold, dry air and gives us our mild winters here on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And so that language was called a atmospheric river.
Wasn't aware you were a meteorologist part-time.
But I'm not a biologist.
No, but it's interesting, the jet stream. And yes, I work with meteorologists and hydrologists at Hydro-Quebec, and this language is changing. It is not possible. Here in Quebec, we have winter. What was it? It was not possible. I don't remember. It was they was winter snow, and I don't remember it. It was like, you read this, but me, I'm disconnected from mainstream media, so I don't see that. But when I go on X and I see this, I say, what are they talking about? I really feel like a total idiot. Yeah. Because I don't understand their language. They don't understand mine. But
what we're watching is the injection of newspeak into a fatigued audience.
Exactly.
Right. So psychologically, what's happening is you people will be jarred by this language, and then another unrelated industry or topic of study or field of expertise will use very similar language to create cadence, right?
Confusion.
Move around and then push into a person's worldview, and sooner or later he just refuses to try to reinterpret it and just accepts it as it is. What I'm waiting for is to start using Kelvin for reporting degrees.
It will come. It will.
Right? Someone will say it was 185 Kelvin today, and everyone's burning up.
Right? You know what they
275 degrees out because of the far right.
Yeah.
But you know what they do with the measurement of temperature? Huh? They change the place of the thermometer. They put it more low. They manipulate the data. Yeah. I studied this. Yeah. I have fact. They manipulate it. So what do you think they're doing in the National Assembly? You listen to them. There was a member of Parliament at the National Assembly this week. She addressed the Minister of Education about sexual gender ideology, and she was quoting a book for primary school and how they children can use preservative to sodomize other children. It is in the Éducation Nationale de France, the national program. The books are there. She said, will you remove that? And you should have seen the face of the minister. I think she wanted to kill the woman who got up and asked those questions. So you think that we have a circus here in Canada? The circus in France is very interesting, and with a beautiful French accent. It's incredible. Monsieur le ministre.
What's that? What's with so it's not just romance, it's true romance.
It's true romance, and I follow a lot of the politics in France because I'm French Canadian, and I'm interested in that, but also the decorum. We are civilized in Canada. When you speak, I listen to you. You listen to debate on mainstream media in France. It is nobody's listening to nobody. There's only one way to have to win an argument with a French person in France is to say you compliment the person. After that, they will not agree with you. They will not agree. They were French people. They're always right. So you can imagine 577 members of parliament who think that they're always right. Each and every one of them. So you cannot have. There's no debate. There's no debate.
It gives new meaning to the phrase wine and cheese.
Yes, wine and cheese.
Where wine is spelled with an H.
Wine.
On that note, moving along to the next story. What's going on in South Korea?
It's not messed up enough in France. We have to do it in Korea too.
Oh wait, there's an extra bonus one after this too.
Yes, there is. Just came in last night.
So Tim, tell us what's going on in South Korea. In detail.
In detail. Well, I can't give you detail because I can read like one paragraph of these and the rest of it is just repetition of the first paragraph. In an attempt to avoid no confidence, it's always becoming the no confidence question now, which is usually based on a budget law or an election law. There was an attempt by the current president to, like I said, to bypass South Korean parliament entirely and just announce martial law and then have the military come in so that he would continue to have control of the government. Almost immediately, the leader of the opposition called all of his allies together and went out onto the parliament steps and made a large public address and said, this action is illegal and we are going to prevent this from happening. So it's, go ahead.
Voting is illegal. No, I'm serious. You see what's happening now in South Korea, and I think after that he had to withdraw the martial law because it was falling. They will try to remove him. Think about Romania, what is happening now. The Supreme Court canceled the election, and you don't vote the right way. Think about the Brexit. Think about the European Union in 2005 with the Constitution. You don't vote the right way. Okay, we have to vote again, and you will vote until you vote the right way. So in South Korea, and don't forget now, you have North Korea, who's an ally with Russia, and they are accused of sending troops in Kursk. We heard the Korean language in communication. This is only a show. You don't have troops in Ukraine or in Russia. You don't have troops. But South Korea, with the demilitarized zone, with North Korea, they have to play a game. Maybe they test there, and they test something. They test there. If the martial law is passed and it stays, maybe we can apply it somewhere else.
Yes.
So if it doesn't work, you do a test run. If it doesn't work, you step back.
Yeah. This is in marketing, we call it A/B testing, right? So using similar elements of your marketing copy, you'll design one to see if you can generate a behavioral response from audience A. And then the other, you'll modify that marketing language in an effort to see if you successfully modify the behavior of audience B. So the A/B testing. And it's almost as if, this is my thought. You mentioned we're going to hold an election until you vote the right way, which sounds like a very regressive disciplinary behavior.
Yes.
So if I'm Jean Le Carré and I'm writing my next spy novel during the Cold War, and I have my spy locked up in prison and I'm his jailer, I'm going to say, you're going to write your confession until you write it the right way.
Exactly.
Stockholm, but on a national scale.
Yes, and don't forget one thing. That was the modus operandi of the Bolshevik. They catch somebody who's innocent. Yeah. They beat him. They force him to confess, and after that he has to confess publicly, and then they shoot him.
Yeah, and you only need 3 fingers to hold a pencil.
Yeah, so that's exactly, and that's a very good point. Yeah. But what you're mentioning is you talk about marketing. AB process.
Yeah.
Think about vaccine trial. You're supposed to have what
It's
a group test that receives a placebo,
yeah, the
and
double
you had
blind.
supposed yes, exactly. So what they're doing now in South Korea and in Romania, I think it's the same thing. I think the West is completely in panic.
Yeah.
Maybe you can call them the globalists, you can call them the deep state. They're in panic and they're trying everything. And they are bad at it. The person who writes the script, you cannot, it's fascinating. Me, I look at it from far and I tell myself, I try to see the big picture. What are they doing? They're destabilizing the for future Trump administration. They're creating. Look at what is happening in Syria now. So they're destabilizing Syria. They're destabilizing Georgia. They're destabilizing Romania. All because they're losing in Ukraine. So they don't know how to react, and now it is the panic. The panic is everywhere. Yeah. I think that's a symptom. Then what will happen when Trump will arrive in power? Is this January 23rd, I think, something like that. That will be funny. That will be. We will have a nice winter, I suppose.
I made a joke last night or the night before that it wouldn't surprise me that Trump gets the Nobel Peace Prize before taking office.
Well,
Barack Obama would be like, I demand a refund.
Far right. Well, come on, the Nobel Prize.
Well, I mean, it's the moment they start talking and he announces who he's looking at to have his inner circle. Ukraine starts saying, "Well, maybe we should probably sit down with Russia and play nice." So now all of a sudden we're hearing penitent vassal language, and Putin's like,
"No, but there's one."
I think Putin's getting to the point where he just doesn't care.
He doesn't care. Yesterday there was an interview with Sergei Lavrov, which is Minister of Foreign Affairs. It's the highest diplomat, Lavrov. I follow him since many years. With Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is in Moscow now, and Lavrov is a fine speaker. And Tucker Carlson asked him, so how many Russian soldiers were killed since 2 years, more practically 3 years? And he said, it's not up to me to decide or to say this information. And immediately he goes toward all the military that were killed in Ukraine. He said, President Zelensky, and he quote unquote, he said they pretend that 80,000 people died in Ukraine in more than 2 years and a half. And he said, look at Gaza, you had 45,000 people who died in Gaza in 1 year. And then he said nothing. Like they take people like fool. You arrive with statistics, Larry Johnson, Scott Ritter, Colonel Douglas MacGregor, Andrei Martyanov, a lot of people in the West, they arrive with very reliable data, and the mainstream media look completely stupid everywhere. So my feeling is that they are in panic everywhere. The pardon, they're trying to run away to prevent themselves from this revenge that will just fall on them. It will fall. You cannot continue in a situation like that.
Is this now I'm going to sound like I'm stabbing for a headline. Is this the sequel to Animal Farm where the farmer returns to oust the pigs from his house?
Yeah, good sequel. I like the idea. The idea.
Right? It's all I hear, like the last 5 years now, more or less. Well, with Trudeau going back to 2015, the increase in the number of conspiracy theories, the interconnectedness of all of these theories, and we weren't just right. We were right all the time. All this language, and I can't escape from feeling that there is something. And I'm not talking about cabal organizations or elite families. Just the psychology of the whole process is so simple that if people would not, okay, you know what? I know that he used a bell to get to train the dogs to salivate when there was
Pavlov.
Pavlov. I know that he used the bell. Don't fixate on the bell. Understand the process,
Yeah,
right?
but
And so I think a lot of the conspiracy theories about, you know, who put Zelensky there, etc. The Russian minister, President Zelensky, and if that's the way, see, it's not that this one man is diminishing the value of Zelensky in his role, right? It's not that one man's doing that. It's who that man represents. Because in that conversation, that man represents the inner circle of Russia's top government and military officials. So when that one man on camera diminishes Zelensky's legitimacy to his chair, there's a lot going on up there that most people won't even get.
They don't get it. They don't
They
get
just don't get it. That's called sending a message. Right? When I do air quotes, our body language. Again, you mentioned my affection for body language, right? You're I could almost be Italian, right? So when you see people doing like things like that, you're like, what is the overarching element here? And I'm not saying psychology presents all the answers, but it gives you a filter to get out the noise of other things that are designed to distract us. Right? So we go, oh, someone says this terrible thing is all of a sudden happening in the news. And so now your average conspiracy says, well, it's distracting us. It's just a distraction. It's part of it's okay. What is it distracting you from? So then I choose to use the psychological profiling, right? Munchausen's.
Yes, exactly.
Right? The governments are actively participating in Munchausen's. They intentionally make their child sick and then intentionally bring the child back to good health. And then they go to all their global neighbors, and their global neighbors say, you're such a good mother. Meanwhile, the mother is busy, right, doing these things. And that's 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That's wear a mask to protect grandma. Right? That's their anti-herd immunity language. That's Munchausen's. So then you do this over an extended period of time. You ramp it up and you cool it off. You ramp it up and you cool it off. That's the difference of time between ringing the bell and taking the food away from the dog. So now you got a Pavlovian response where the public begin to respond without needing the trigger. Right? You see it happening in news media. We're just looking at it today. Why are we seeing lawmaker left and far right? Why are they choosing those words? And we see the weather language. We're talking about the weather. This is all that's Pavlovian. The other effect is the Stockholm syndrome, which we usually talk about in terms of we're going to have an election until you vote right, the right way, the correct way, the way we want you to.
You know,
right? So if we choose to look at events through these filters, as opposed to, oh, the Templars this, or the Illuminati that, or the 300 families this, okay, these may indeed be actual entities, but it's the process that is messing with your mind, not the incident itself. When we look at France, and South Korea and Romania, what are we looking at? We're looking at a test, right? They talk about our democracy, or you mentioned a litmus test, right? And I mentioned A/B testing. So if they're doing this in countries that are less capable to respond in a rational manner, right? Then what will that look like when it moves west?
Well, one thing that I could suggest to Cerberus at the Improv is we should do a telethon. You know, telethon. You maybe telethon. We do. I was when I was young. We were doing cyclothon with bicycle. You bicycle for 12 hours
Oh, yes.
to raise fund. We did the berceton in French with a rocking chair. You rock for 24 hours. No, I
I
did
can do
that.
that. Yeah.
And now we can do a Téléthon or a Cerberus ton, which means we would debate like this 24 hours and
24
see
hours.
if we can raise money. And we have so much material.
People would pay us to stop talking.
Well, maybe.
Yes,
But
stop talking.
what you're talking, Timothy, it is the show is very good, and it is so it is everywhere. It's like you have cable TV. Nobody has cable TV anymore, but you have cable TV, and you have 195 channel that you can see simultaneously, and you switch with your remote control, and you can never focus on one thing. It's always one thing after another, and it create confusion in your brain. And after that, what you just eat popcorn, and you and the popcorn that you paid, you didn't pay GST on it, so that's good.
Not yet.
Not yet. So where do we go like this? I understand people who have, I would say, simple knowledge. I understand them. It's very frustrating because they don't know what is happening. They just react, they go on with their day-to-day life. But it is very hard to reach them, to explain them some geopolitical concept, because they don't have the code. And this is fascinating when we see it, when we step back, like you said, we look at what is happening, and we try not to draw a fast conclusion, try to see what will change. We check the tendency instead of trying to focus on the event. A revolution is never a date. A revolution, it is a system or a movement that was prepared years, decades before, and suddenly you have an event.
Yes.
So many people, they say the 21st century started 9/11. That's a lot of people. They say it started September 11.
There's an argument for that.
That's an argument. That's the one. And
that's Web 2.0.
Some people will say it was the tech crisis in 1999, the collapse of Enron, the collapse. So the date is there, but the event was prepared months, years before, and now. Well, the November 6th, November 5th, it was the election of Trump. We knew it, everybody knew it, but they're panicking since a long time. And they tried everything to undermine the election of Trump, and he won everywhere. So what will be the...
It took Trump winning. I think Trump winning is as much a result of the efforts of the Democrats as it is an effort of the Republicans.
It is possible. It is possible.
Yeah.
Well, I would say maybe it's an effort. It's an effort from IPAC, maybe.
Right. No matter what the left did, they could simply not stop giving that man free press.
Well, they cannot stop. It is automatic. It is automatic behavior.
You think they would have learned in 2016 and 17, 18, 19, 20?
The man's not even in office. They spent 2-3 years dragging him through court, and all they did was make him a bigger and bigger hero.
Exactly.
All they did. It's like, well, it's not good enough for it's not good enough for us to crush him, but we actually have to pass him through the crucible ourselves.
To their defense, their plan, it almost worked. So the plan was to escalate until they kill him. He turned his head.
Right.
So.
Well, the thing is the hero's journey, right? So his hero, the dark of the hero's journey is the New York indictments.
Yes.
Probably that might have actually been the grave, potentially, right? The New York indictments, where you're actually now getting Republicans who are saying, "Oh, actually indicted. That's really bad," because they bought. That's bullshit. It's bullshit, but they bought it, and a fair number of Republicans bought that. And so that, I think, was his grave. That was the death moment, right? Going into the belly of the beast, right? So that's where In Jordan Peterson's story, that's where Pinocchio finds Geppetto, right, in the belly of the whale, and they come out the other side.
No,
we joke and we say that we're doing this live and unscripted, and we are, but the news writes the script for us.
Exactly. And what you're saying about Trump and about the grave in New York, now he's rising from the dead.
Wow, he's returned home.
But don't forget,
he's better than a Marvel movie.
A lot of people saying that depending on if you're Christian, he's the Christ. If you're Jews, it's the Messiah.
He's a reincarnation of King Cyrus.
And some people. So the funny part is when he will take office, with the people he nominated, Elon Musk, Vivek Rasma. I never know how to pronounce his name. Ramaswamy, the new Attorney General.
Nobody knows who she is.
No, but I checked a little bit, and I can guarantee you, she's no woman. She's a tough woman. So I don't agree with all his nomination, but I could say he's preparing the next round, and he's not the challenger anymore. Like Timothy said, he was 4 years. They attacked him for 4 years, and he was able to not only to survive, but to raise from the dead.
Yeah, this is Rocky 2.
It's Rocky. It's not Rocky 23 now. I don't remember. I don't count anymore.
All right, on to our next story.
Count in boosters.
Donald Trump versus little boy Trudeau. This is like David versus Goliath, but David doesn't win in this one.
No, he doesn't win this one. It's quite interesting because when we decided to talk about the 51st state, is that what you refer to?
That's where we're going. Yeah.
The first reaction I said, because I was watching the reaction in Alberta, in Quebec, and many people, and I said, Trump published a comment on Truth Social. And my comment is, Canadian, hit the shelter. They all want to sell Canada to United States. In Quebec, they were saying, we will be the 51st state. Yeah. We will have the American dollar. I said, did you forget Canadian sovereignty?
That's right.
What happened? Where are your balls?
Yes. No, I agree. And I've had similar exchanges, not really exchanges, because they don't really know what to say or how to respond to it. But so many people on the right have what I call the Canadian version of Trump derangement syndrome, where they are such fanboys of the man, believing that he's the savior and he's going to fix us, that it actually occurs to them as a legitimate geopolitical plan or solution to merge Canada into the United States. It's a joke. Trump was making a joke.
He was making a joke, exactly.
He was intimidating little Justin. That's all he was doing. And he let the conversation, that element, leak to the public to further embarrass Justin Trudeau. But we've got some, I'll say it out loud, lunatic Canadian Trump supporters who think that this is a good idea. No.
Exactly.
No, what's wrong with you? You just spent the last 4 years fighting against our own government saying, you mentioned this, Andre, where is our sovereignty? Return this to us. You don't get to, we are Alberta, we are Manitoba, we are Newfoundland, we are BC, and every single province and territory reinforcing its position in Canada. Then all of a sudden, a bunch of right-wing lunatics think that this is a good idea to abandon the maple. A week ago, it was Maple MAGA.
Maple MAGA.
A week ago, the Maple MAGA. and now it's like, no, just be my sugar daddy, America. Like,
no, we know. We know.
It's so enraging. Sorry, I got time for a rant. I am Canadian. I am the son of a Canadian guardsman, and I was born in CFB Petawawa, which is about an hour or so west and northish of Ottawa. So I actually used to play on the Quebec River when I was like 4 years old. And Dad was a guardsman, so that's the red monkey suits and the bearskin hats, and he did changing of the guard. So I remember going to do that. And then when he left in 72, because Trudeau Jr. turned the entire military into green drab.
Trudeau Senior.
Trudeau Senior, and gutted the esprit de corps of a very proud military, because apparently, according to Trudeau Senior, we look too British because of our color. And that was his actual reason. So anyway, so Dad moved myself, my sister, and my mom went back to Newfoundland. So I was raised in Newfoundland. Then in 17 or 18, we moved to British Columbia. I've been here ever since. But I've been through every province. I've lived in at least half of them. And Canada is for Canadians. And even though I'm, Newfoundlander by heritage, because my family's in Newfoundland go back about 400 years, I am Canadian. Technically, I'm actually a first-generation Canadian, because my mother and father were born just at the end of the Second World War. And the Newfoundland didn't join Confederation until 1949.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
That's important.
So the Newfoundlanders were naturalized because Commonwealth of Britain. So they were naturalized, and then that means their children were our firstborn. So all the Gen Xers raised in Newfoundland are first-generation Canadians. But we couldn't tell the difference.
But how can you
the difference?
How can you explain the reaction? Because I saw it in Quebec, but I also saw it in Alberta. And I was telling myself,
Alberta,
2 weeks ago, like you said, Maple MAGA, we had the Freedom Convoy that was, I would say, an historical event. It did not happen in the United States. Yes, they had the trucker after that, but we inspired them.
Yes.
And then you have, I know Arnold Haino, one of our colleagues, he talks about Terry Fox. And we can talk about history of Canada. And suddenly, with one comment, which is a joke, some people, they take it seriously, and you say, "Oh, do they understand what is happening?"
I want to point out one other thing. He's not the president. Either Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, the president. He's not even president. And our prime minister went down at his beck and call, and he went and met with him, and he got dressed down.
I think also he could not sleep at Mar-a-Lago. He had to take a. You can imagine Mar-a-Lago. They have 25, I don't know, 30 bedroom and everything. And they say,
I was going to say that's a palatial mansion.
We don't have a room for you tonight, Prime Minister Trudeau. You have to go to a Best Western.
Yeah, there's like 3 cars parked outside. They've all got Florida plates.
Sorry,
there's no room. We're too busy.
There's
no room in the inn.
And you're right, Peyman. He's not president. Of course, the protocol is important because he will be assermented the president. So of course they start to. But I think Trudeau went there and he didn't want to see him at all. And did they publish a common statement? I don't know.
No,
they did not do it. So what did they talk about?
No.
What did they talk about?
The marshals walked him out the door.
Well, if you talk about sovereignty, Timothy mentioned it very well. I'm very happy that you say this because you lived in many provinces, and you understand the core value of Canada and Canadians. And in Quebec, when I saw people in Quebec, some people, they're sovereignists. They want Quebec to be a country, and there's even a person who says we should be the 51st state of the United States. We will leave Canada. The nationalists, they say, no, we want to be an independent country, separate from Canada for many reasons. And then suddenly you have nationalists, they say, no. Forget about the Quebec flag.
Yeah.
God save America. In French, Dieu sauve l'Amérique. How do we do that? Why you're so eager to sell your sovereignty and so fast?
Yeah.
Me, I think it is a lack of maturity.
ushering this conversation along. One of these days, I swear to God, we'll keep the episode to less than an hour. But the last thing to talk about.
So we were gonna. I thought we were shifting into telethon mode.
24 hours.
Yeah, I don't have my Red Bull with me, not today.
and viewers, they have bonus every 4 hours if they stay.
Right. So then we have to
paid in Bitcoin.
So we should wait until we have enough archives material that we can get AI to generate a video, so all three of us can go for a potty break at the same time. So the intermission, our intermission will be 3 AI of us.
Hologram.
Just outsource it to India. They can work on the accent.
You don't have to go to India to have.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll outsource it to what do you guys got in?
There was a joke about.
That's gonna haunt me.
There was a joke about Chinese. Somebody said, it's very funny because Chinese men can buy local everywhere around the planet.
That's true. Chinatown.
So.
Let's bring it back from the racist comments. This got dropped yesterday. I hate talking about the Liberal Party. Every day it's another scandal. They're trying to steal guns and give it to Ukraine, which is like spitting in your face. I don't know. Did they read the Marine Le Pen article? They're like, let's do something to insult the far right.
Well, it's funny because it will be what? They banned 115 new weapons. And new types, and does that include hunting guns? I think if they send hunting gun to Ukraine, it's because they want to shoot Peanut, the squirrel, who's shooting Oreshnik, which is hazelnut. It's the only explanation I see. Yeah. They're afraid of Oreshnik, so they want to shoot Peanut, who's with hunting gun. Come on,
and you say that my references are too vague.
No, but and behind that, what is more serious is you disarm people so you can control them. That's a very old technique.
Yes,
they're doing it.
It's like a technique with a twist.
They're doing it December 5th, one day before the celebration of the commemoration of the Polytechnique shooting in 1989, where the man shot 15 women at Polytechnique. So. They always do the same thing. The liberal, they arrive, they take an event, they pass a law, and then today you can see it. It is amazing.
Can you at least agree that whoever thought this up was like a 7-year-old child? Did they really think that saying they're going to give the guns to Ukraine would have get them more voters?
I think Timothy mentioned it. A lack of maturity. They don't, and they believe themselves.
They believe it.
When I was young, we had Matchbox, small cars. I had a Lamborghini, I had a Ferrari, I had a Porsche, a Jaguar, I had a boat, and we were exchanging small car. They're in this mind. They play with concept. They don't understand that. They don't understand, and they play like this. And it is public declaration. What does that has to do with? I would say the immigration crisis in Canada, or the level of criminality that is rising. I'm still surprised that we don't have a riot in Montreal tonight. I thought it was a weekly event. No, but it is. No.
I had it in my calendar and everything.
It is. They are complete lunatics, and unfortunately, there's still a lot of people who believe that the system is working. It is not. It is not, and we are going toward very hard conflict. I can suggest people to read a book. It's very interesting. It is incredible. Mikhail Bulgakov is one of the greatest writer I ever read. He wrote Master and Marguerite, which is incredible. But there's a book, The White Guard. It's 1917 in Ukraine, and it described the civil war. How in a civil war you don't have allies and enemies. Your friends of today can be the person who will kill you tomorrow. And what I see the tendency now in Canada, and not only in Canada, in many countries, I see that people are starting to hate each other for very bad reason. The system controls all the narrative, and this is one part of it. You target people who have firearms hunters who are responsible. They know what they're doing. They are careful. They are people who are rational, not far right. This is abuse of language, and I have to make it clear that those people, they abuse language all the time.
Tim, do you? It's okay if you guys don't agree with me, but do you see where I'm going with this? Like the previous gun ban, like they talked about it in the legislature, they got public support, and it got them some boost. This, like, it's like Trudeau did way too many drugs in the middle of the night. He's like, "Oh, I got a great idea. We'll do a press release tomorrow, Emery. You can do it." It just seems rushed, and it's not really well thought out.
But the first gun ban was with I think it was Stephen Harper wanted to repeal the first gun ban, and in Quebec, because of this shooting in 1989, everybody was saying it is violence. We have to disarm people. It has nothing to do with it, and especially when you read the life of the man who killed those women, they use the idea to divert the attention of people all the time, because they're falling in the polls. They look like complete fools, and now they don't know how to react. I think it's like the same thing in the United States. They are in panic mode.
I was curious about the timing of the shift in the gun legislation and the push for it, but I think you hit the nail on the head, and that is
drugs in the middle of the night.
No,
drugs all day long. And mix them up, please. I like my gummies and flavors. The Polytechnic massacre.
Exactly.
There is no father or mother in Canada who will not have an emotional response to that event.
Exactly.
Because when that happened, Canada was a much kinder and gentler nation of neighbors. And we thought it must be so hard for Quebec to have to bear that story on her shoulders. And even those outside Quebec were motivated to kindness toward and become quite forgiving when that happens. So the again, psychology. I'm thinking it can't be the whole thing to to steal my bike and give it to the neighbor, right? To take my guns and give them for brownie points. It has to be more than that. So the timing is about exactly what you just said. Being able to make a public announcement at some memorial modification, aggrandizement, big grandiose grand gesture at the memorial, and be able to say that we've look what we've done to make women and children safer.
You know what you said, Timothy, is very important, because 1989, and I agree with you, where those parents they mourn their daughters who died. But there's one thing we forget all the time. Sometimes you need closure. And now they're always, every year, they're using this event as a political weapon. Instead of saying, okay, we will commemorate the event modestly, a small ceremony, something that is more, I would say, humble, and we will not use it as a weapon. And they do it every year. Every year they use. And I'm sorry, I would lose my daughter. I know. I have a friend who lost his daughter. She died when she was 30 years old. That man was completely destroyed psychologically. One day you have to do a closure. You have to move on. Doesn't mean that you forget. But have the dust has to come down. And why they use this event every year as a political weapon is because they want to disarm people. That's simple. It is not complicated. And why they don't target what happened last week again in Montreal or in Concordia with University, when they smash windows, they destroy the downtown. They are aggressive to policemen. They don't act, but they arrive after that and they say, we will disarm more citizens. Wait a second. They're not serious, they're becoming dangerous. Politically, they're becoming very dangerous.
Yes.
Can I
And
let me follow up my complaint then? I totally forgot that this is a thing like that it was today. This is the anniversary.
yes, today,
Why did
1989.
like if I was going to do this, if I was the Liberal Party, you build up a crescendo like a couple of weeks before. You say you try to build up sympathy, and you kind of hint it. Have they dropped this? Have they even linked it to this? Did they just do a piss poor job of rolling this out?
I me
Trudeau has used this event every year he's been in
exactly,
office.
exactly.
Every year he makes noise about this. I
They all
wouldn't be
do.
surprised. And Harper did too. In this first paragraph are 14 women, engineering students, nursing students, staff, shooting rampage, gunmen. I hate feminists. He doesn't have to write anything else.
That's it.
Everybody's triggered.
That's it.
Everybody's triggered. So protecting women and children. Now you've engineering student, nursing student, staff members. So now we're talking about STEM. So now I can say we're going to take $20 million and invest it into a special STEM program for the École Polytechnique Memorial STEM program for grants, and they can slush money off there. And you mentioned this, Andre, horribly abuse the memory of the women who died.
Exactly. This is disgusting.
Abuse the memory, and they prevent them from getting closure. And every year, for what gain? $10. Well, I don't have $10, but bet you $1 to donuts that there will be mention of this in the PMO office late next newswires.
That could be interesting
and it will be connected to the gun legislation.
That's what I was asking. I was like,
yes.
Do you guys predict that they will actually do something?
Maybe they do it. Maybe they do it unconsciously, but it's in their mind. It's in their mind. In the news, it's everywhere. And sometimes you're starting to be tired of this. And I put myself in the position of the parents. One day you say, maybe you just don't talk about it. Leave us alone, the family. We say when we lose somebody and we are a public character, we say to the press, can we mourn our lost and forget about the press? They're using this event every year. And like Timothy said, they use it every year for political purpose. This is disgusting.
They're good at what they do as well. Like if you and I and the three of us went to someone and said, this is wrong, they'd be like, oh, you're an anti-feminist. You don't support women's rights.
Yeah,
exactly. That's simple.
Yeah, and it's not about the event.
No,
it's about other agencies who are manipulating and abusing the event for their own goals. Scroll back down a bit below that second picture, and the first sentence. Stop. Highlight the word bravado. That's a corruption. See, that's a masculine word. They're intentionally corrupting it to make it look dirty and mean.
Oh, do you want to know why?
Right? Yes.
Because it's the CBC.
It's the CBC, exactly.
If you wanted honest news, we should have used a different article.
Yeah. So right.
No, but it's the same thing. They all use
journalism is in cahoots. Journalism is in cahoots because they're the ones telling the stories.
You said something, Peyman. You said if we do not agree with the narrative, we are misogynist. We are.
Yeah.
I don't care about the message of the CBC, but if you shove it in my throat all year, every year, the same thing, I will lose empathy and sympathy for this. And I honestly, it doesn't surprise me from national media like Radio-Canada, CBC, or in Quebec, we have Québécois, trash news. The stock, the share of Québécois is falling practically under $1. They're going bankrupt. They're morally bankrupt.
Yeah.
And they use again another, they don't have any weapon in the gun. They don't have weapon in the gun. They're we talk about defunding CBC, defunding national media, and they are in panic mode and they use everything. And this, for me, it's disgusting, completely disgusting.
can I jump in, and can we move over to the last topic?
Yeah.
Of course, of course.
Tim, you break this down. I have no idea what I'm looking at.
Oh, I just saw this today, so this is a late entry to the show. What we're looking at is what's called the Core Consumer Price Index. The Consumer Price Index that we all hear about in the news and whatnot has, for economists' simplicity of making the curve more manageable, dropped food and energy items out of the Consumer Price Index, which is odd because it's about consumer prices, products, and food and oil are like the single largest consumer products that we use. But this particular one identifies shelter. So it uses shelter because they don't want to use the word housing.
That's another example of psychological manipulation. Like
it's all newspeak. It's all newspeak. So core goods, that's food, right? And you noticed mid 2020, the price, the index actually went below zero, because that's the shelter at home nonsense, right? And then the steep increase was the distribution crisis, right? So that cranked that up there. The yellow are housing, and where you see the pinch, I'm pointing and nobody can see me pointing. The pinch, the yellow there, that's correct.
Yes.
Right. So that pinch, that's when governments froze rent increases.
Mm-hmm.
See?
What is this we're seeing? Is this a correction? Is this
is not a correction? So this is historical. Historical. So this housing has always been the single largest, because you look at the pre-2022, you can see housing is still taking up the bulk of that volume. But as inflation began to increase, housing increased disproportionately with everything else. And it will continue to do so. The drops that we're seeing right now, those two green sections, those are because there aren't enough houses on the market, but they're still showing as demand. They're just not available.
Well, I can talk about real estate, and I can tell you the prices are rising. That's what we call stagflation in economy. And you mentioned something very important. That stagflation means that the prices are going up, but the offer is not rising. So and people, like in housing, the price of houses are going up, but they are not sold.
It's on paper.
Yes.
It's on paper, only on paper. And don't forget, in 2020, the crude oil in April 2020 was trading at minus $35 per barrel. And you buy 1 million barrel of oil, crude oil, and they pay you. But if they arrive in your backyard and they say, where do we put the barrel? That was incredible. And people were targeting the inflation rate. And what you're mentioning is very important. They remove the price of energy and the price of food from the index, the calculation of the inflation.
Yeah, and it's designed to smooth the highs and the lows.
Exactly.
So it looks like they have reasonable control. And what they've said in this particular piece that I was watching, that I snapped this from, what they said was the rationale for removing food and oil from the matrix was because the prices of food and oil were too volatile. And you can see the volatility between 2020 and going into 2022. That's right. So that period of volatility. And all I can hear in my head is, you're trying to justify printing money.
No, you're right. There's on the stock market, you have an index, which is the volatility index.
Yeah.
What you're mentioning is that when they remove those two variables, food and price of energy, they will remove the volatility, to show that they are in control of the economy, and at the same time they print a massive amount of money, creating inflation and stagflation. We have also reduflation, which where producer, they reduce the quantity of food. You buy a 1 kilogram of flour, you have a 950 gram, and it's everywhere. So the economy is totally out of control, and they want to remove what is hurting the most Canadian: food, and energy and housing. And
you mentioned negative $35 for a barrel of oil.
That was in April 2020.
When I was in manufacturing, that was the beauty of a blanket order. Right. So a blanket order is, I order a year's worth of goods and I pay you today's prices.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how much as the supplier, right? 10 months later, you're like, wow, I'm literally not making any money on this now, but I've already paid. I'm good to go.
Yes, but that's
so the solution would be a just-in-time system planet-wide. Globalism would be more useful if we had a just-in-time system planet-wide. But we saw what our actual ocean-going distribution is capable of and what its obstacles are. There are not enough ships, and there are not enough containers, there's not enough employees.
Yeah, you can send your container and your ship through the Red Sea now, and under the target of the Houthis. No, that's serious. And you mentioned globalism. I'm sorry, globalism is collapsing. And the concept of just in time means that you don't have no warehouse, you have nothing. It's line just in time. So you order something on Amazon, it is produced in China, it will arrive in 1 week. It's a caricature, of course, but it's like that. If you don't have an industrialized society and you rely on that, forget about climate change, which is complete hoax, because when you look at tankers, they're all propelled by fuel, by diesel. This is nightmare, and they attack small people because they can. If you are angry at the government and you're a little bit lunatic, you will attack your neighbor, because you cannot reach the big one. You will target the small one. So in this index, they're removing it, and they're manipulating the market with massive printing. It's not very complicated, but most people will not see it. They will wait for the GST exemption and the $250. But we have Chrystia Freeland. This is understandable. A woman who could not even have a credit card until she was 41. And her parents had to sign for. This is the Ministry of Finance of Canada.
Who could be more qualified for the job?
Who's Minister of Finance in the United States? Maybe it's right. Maybe we should join them. It's a freak show. But people are suffering. That's the bad part of it.
So what's the solution to all of this nonsense?
Well, if it is a civil war, it is a revolution. We talked about the Ceausescu procedure. What was it? The helicopter on the parliament. No, they think that it cannot happen. In Romania now, the Supreme Court canceled the election.
Right.
I think in Romania they will stay silent and they will not go on the street.
And let's end it on this note. I'll ask you guys a question. Can Joe Biden pardon a foreign national? Like, can he pardon Justin Trudeau so Trump can't go after him?
That's a very good question. The moral question would be, maybe Biden could pardon him, but will Canadian people will pardon Justin Trudeau? This I don't think. I don't think it will happen. I think he's doomed.
Oh,
I agree.
Speaking of doomed, is he going to be replaced by? Now I forgot his name.
Carney.
Carney.
Or Jolie, because Jolie's got herself an article in.
I saw that. Yeah.
New Yorker or something that where they are propping her up as a potential replacement for Trudeau.
And we thought we hit the bottom of the barrel. I wrote a tweet this week. You say drill, baby, drill. Me, I said dig, baby, dig.
Yeah.
It's not serious. What is it, Melanie Jolie?
Yeah.
Honestly, with Mark Carney, ex CEO of the Bank of Canada and ex CEO of the Bank of England.
Yes.
A globalist.
I would rather have a legitimate villain than someone who plays at being savior and is really bad.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure. Between the plague and cholera, I don't know.
I was going to say, you take anyone from Trudeau's cabinet and you could replace them for Trudeau. They're all good at lying. They're all good public speakers. That redhead guy with the bow tie and the sneakers, this Emery moron, the Veroni goblin, Jolie. The only one literally that they can't do is Chrystia Freeland because she's got some psychological issues. It's like Parkinson's.
There's a lot of drug abuse in there somewhere.
Oh, I
think the best replacement for Trudeau is already in his cabinet. That's Pierre Poilievre.
Well, that's interesting. And he will win. And he will win. And he will deceive millions of Canadians after 2-3 months. I can guarantee that.
Yes. Well, he's already deceived them. He's already deceived them because as far as most conservative-minded, I don't mean conservative voters, but conservative-minded Canadians are concerned, he is Canada's version of King Cyrus, right? Which is, a reference to Trump from the evangelical Christians in the States. The drawback is Poilievre has made no friendly overtures to Trump.
He could change that on a dime, though. We have our goldfish memory here in Canada.
We do have a goldfish memory.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most corrupted at all? Trudeau is looking in the mirror. He sees the
mirror shatters.
Yeah. That's
all right, guys. Let's. It's Friday. Let's end it.
It's always Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
In particular, it's a good Friday. I don't know, Andre. Give us some words of optimism, and then we'll call it.
But we are still here, and we will not go more than 1 hour and 30 minutes because they will shoot us. But it's okay. They don't have guns anymore. So, but this will just blow up in their face.
Why don't we do this with all of our problems? Like if we have crime, take the criminals and give them to Ukraine. It seems like a problem solved. Mad cow disease, send the cows to Ukraine.
It's already happening. It's all don't put the burden on Ukrainian people more than they can do.
More than they already bear.
Exactly.
More than they already bear.
So, but we can stay optimistic because I think a lot of people are waking up. Mainstream media are sinking. They're just dying. But when you're dying of cancer, sometimes it takes weeks or months or years because you're. And sadly, we should offer aid to mainstream media. We would save money. Maybe that's what Poilievre wants to do. So maybe we're on the right track. I hope.
Well, as long as people speak what they think without fear.
That's exactly. Avoid fear. If you face your fear, and when you face your fear, you have to feel it inside of you. And when you feel it, you can recognize it, face it, and get rid of it. But you have to
sound like a Taco Bell commercial.
Well,
never mind.
We can do advertising if you want. I like it.
No, you're right. So there are the three positions, right? If freeze, flight, and fright. Yeah. So, but we generally think of the two, but there's three. And freeze is the one most people don't think about because everybody does it. It's the first thing you do. The rabbit freezes. The deer freezes. And then it's checking its peripheral to determine friend or foe. Right? And we have in the West, Canada, the last 4 years, done nothing but exist in a state of freeze.
Right.
We don't know. We don't know whether to fight or flight.
You're right. This is important. We are not out of this period yet, but I
But
think
more
we're
are
going.
starting to fight.
Yes,
That's
that's the good part. Where people are starting to fight.
And it's okay to be
Even small
frozen.
fight. Even small fight. Every small fight is important.
Yes.
All right. On that note, thank you to the audience for watching, and we'll catch you next week.
Have a good day.
Have a good Friday night.